Ontario electricity rates increased by over 29% over the past weekend, but you may not have noticed that's because the impact is being offset by an increase in the taxpayer-funded provincial rebate program. But that doesn't mean you won't be paying a little bit more. Eric Viano joins us live in studio to explain. Eric.
Matt, an economist I spoke to, says this is another case of the cost of living going up. He says we're seeing an increase in costs for nuclear generation, natural gas and electricity rates as a result. That means households will have to pay more out of pocket.
Typical Ontario family is going to see an increase in their bill of between $5 and $10 a month.
Economist Colin Mang says this rise in cost is a result of higher than expected nuclear generation costs and higher than forecast conservation program expenses in the province. And it adds up.
This could translate into between $60 and $120 per year. Now, when you think about the fact that everything else is also going up in price, things like groceries, gasoline, this is just one more thing that families are going to have to spend money on.
The province is absorbing some of the rising electrical rates, though. The Ontario Energy Board says the Ontario electricity rebate has risen to 23.5% from 13.1%. However, Mang says this offset still burdens taxpayers.
We have been funding this at about $6 billion a year. With the increase in the rebate that's now coming in, this is going to rise to $8 billion a year. That makes up the majority of the government's deficit for this year.
Mang says as the Ford government is planning massive increases in power generation, and as it predicts it will need 75% more electricity by 2050, the costs may continue to rise. But there is hope.
As the economy continues to grow and as Ontario's population grows, the cost to taxpayers of that rebate is going to increase. We're seeing the government try to invest in new electricity generation technologies, particularly with nuclear. And so hopefully what we'll be able to see is some lower electricity costs in future.
The rebate increase is not in the fall economic statement presented yesterday. Ontario's finance minister says the next budget will reflect the increase.
Of course, when I do Q3 and the budget shortly thereafter, we'll update those numbers, but it should be in the order of magnitude of similar previous years.
The Ontario Clean Air Alliance put out a statement saying the Ford government is using the rebate to bury the higher rates, adding that it's a band-aid solution that does nothing to address the underlying reason for the rising rates, dependence on expensive nuclear power.